G'day YouTube, welcome to episode number 2 of the Mindset series. I'm Amanda Mikaloff, the head coach of Divine Physiques Coaching here in Melbourne, Australia. Today it gives me great pleasure to be interviewing an absolute powerhouse by the name of Craig Harper. For those of you who don't know who Craig is a no-nonsense and hilarious character who first entered the health and fitness industry back in 1982 as an exercise scientist, corporate speaker, AFL conditioning coach, author, and successful business owner, just to name a few things. In 1990, Craig established Harper's Personal Training, which evolved into one of the most successful businesses of its kind and inhabited the Australian fitness landscape for almost a quarter of a century. These days, Craig conducts his business around the mindset arena, running successful mentorship, public speaking, and weekend programs, and continues to make a huge impact. If you are a coach in the health and fitness industry or have hired coaches and can agree that mindset is an undersold commodity in the fitness industry, then you will very much love today's discussion. So thank you and enjoy. Craig, welcome.
Amanda, thanks.
I'm really happy that you've agreed to jump on the Mindset series today. I basically came across you for the first time back in 2016 at Hayden Wilson's Fitness Business Summit.
Okay.
Admittedly, didn't know anything about you beforehand, but as soon as you opened your mouth and the tone in your voice and the things that you were saying, it was all very relatable. And of all the speakers, I think you were able to sort of just make a big impact in the crowd, I think. So it was all about kind of how to almost make a six-figure business and stuff like that. But I think you cut through all that sort of bullshit and you just went straight to the heart of what some of the real issues are in the fitness industry.
Yeah, I try to.
So look, I've brought you on today because I personally feel like the fitness industry is missing the mindset component of what it's actually trying to sell to its clients. It's something I personally have wanted to introduce as part of my niche and what separates me in the industry. But what I wanted to know was, A, do you agree? And B, how you think the industry could do a better job as a whole of trying to resell fitness and what it stands for, where it begins with, where it should begin with mindset, I feel, personally.
Longest fucking question in the history of questions.
I know, sorry.
Fucking hell. I could have gone and made lunch. I'm only kidding. I'm just messing with you. So I hope your listeners and watchers know that I'm a little bit sweary. But look, it is a really good question and it's a really relevant point. And it's the reality is, okay, so there's a few things. Getting in shape, like everyone comes to you as a trainer, as a coach, as a mentor, as a teacher, as an educator, as a business owner. Everyone comes to you for one reason essentially, and there are other reasons under that, but the main reason is that they want to change. And what do they want to change? They want to change their physiology. They want to change their body. Leaner, lighter, fitter, stronger, faster, more flexible, less back pain, lower blood pressure. So everyone walks in the door and they have that in common. Now, around that are a bunch of variables that don't get spoken about enough or understood enough. But there's a reason for that. And one of those, there's a whole, nutrition and lifestyle and all of the other practical accountability and process and strategy and all of that stuff. But as you mentioned, mindset. So getting in shape, I actually wrote a book about this in 2003 called Fatitude, which is essentially a book about the psychology of getting in shape.
Yeah.
So that was 15 years ago and everybody kind of looked at me like, what the fuck? Because people didn't really get, and they still don't get, look, some do, to be honest, some do, you do, some do, some don't, that changing your body is largely a byproduct of the internal stuff. So you could say even that getting in shape physiologically is a byproduct of getting in shape psychologically and emotionally. So it's a multi-dimensional process. And on a level, yes, of course it's about sets and reps and micros and macros and fucking intensity and progressive overload and all that. Yep. But it's also about how do you manage your mind to manage your body over the long term. In other words, will you keep doing what you need to do when the novelty wears off, when the motivation subsides, when most people would throw in the towel? And so And one of the reasons that, yes, I agree with you, but one of the reasons that it doesn't get addressed is because people don't understand it. You know, you can't teach what you don't know, and you can't teach what you don't understand.
People as in, sorry to cut you off, but people as in professionals?
Yes, of course. Yeah, trainers. So there are, like any industry, like carpenters or like electricians or like surgeons, there are some that are great, there are some that are not so great.
Yeah.
You know, and so there are some trainers who, and I mean this respectfully, and anyone who knows the industry will know that this is not an attack. This is true. Some trainers are essentially rep counters. They're essentially, 100%. You know, 3 more John, 2 more John, well done. Okay, great workout. See you Tuesday.
Yep.
And so what they do is they essentially take people through a workout and then send them on their way, and then they take them through another workout next week. Whereas for me, you know, and for those who don't know my background, I set up the first personal training centre in Australia. I employed over 500 trainers, blah, blah, blah. I started in the industry in 82 and I started PTing in 86. So that was 2 years ago. And I've always been teaching people that changing your physiology is a multidimensional task, right? And it's understanding the breadth of that, the width and the complexity and the layers, and not being overwhelmed by that, but just being realistic and practical around that. And so, and a very, very obvious aspect of that is motivation. So people get motivated, then they get demotivated. And most times when people are demotivated, they're not exercising. When they're not doing it, they're not getting results. And then this kind of the cycle happens. They end up back at the start, and okay, now I'm motivated again, and now I'm exercising again. So one of the very obvious challenges amongst many is how do we help people keep doing what works in the absence of motivation? How do we get the behaviour to be consistent in the middle of the inconsistency of motivation? Does that make sense?
100%. So I suppose my question to you is it the education bodies of the fitness industries that are coaching these certificates 3 and 4, and is it their fault that they're not using mindset as a component to teach, or
maybe not? I mean, I think there's a bit of behavioural psychology in these courses, but you really don't have psychologists teaching the courses. And so I definitely think there could be more put on the behavioural psychology of change and how change works and how mindset works and the role of motivation and the difference between sometimes behaviours and all the time habits, which is what we want. But I don't know that, you know, blaming anyone is going to fix anything. You know, it's like, well, yeah, you know, could the courses be better? Yeah. Could the trainers be better? Yeah. Could I be better? Yeah. You know, and so I think for me as a fitness professional or as a whatever I am these days, I'm not sure what I am. It's really about, I go, well, I recognise these things, so I'm going to work in this space. And if somebody like you, who's obviously much younger and you're growing your business and brand, asks me, well, I'll give you my honest input. My honest input is that, yes, it does need to become like, if you want to be more than a rep counter, if you want to be a facilitator of change, if you want to be someone who generally, you know, when we talk about helping a person change their body, we're looking at, you know, we're looking at genetics, we're looking at chronological age, biological age, we're looking at food, we're looking at exercise, we're looking at intensity, we're looking at structure and process, we're looking at beliefs and values and fear and anxiety and fucking stress and self-management. Like, there are so many pieces to that puzzle. And there are 168 hours in a week. And if I'm training Amanda twice and I see Amanda twice, if I see you for 2 hours, then I don't see you for 166 hours.
Yeah.
And so what we need between the two of us is to come up with a process and a plan and a structure that where we're looking at your exercise, but we're also looking at all of the other variables, you know, and that may involve a psychologist or a dietitian or not. But it's really about helping people, I guess, create a big picture plan. Yeah. And definitely you're right. There could be more focus and more emphasis on the psychology of creating physical change in the courses that are being offered. Is
this something you did within your own practice when you had when you had Harper's? Did you have a program in place like this?
What I did was I trained all my guys and girls kind of on the go. So I would do, for quite a while, I did monthly workshops with my team.
Mm-hmm.
But also I would, like creating a great, if it's business or other, if you've got any business that involves communication, connection, human beings and relationships, well then being able to build, develop rapport and build, a relationship that's win-win is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's trying to understand how that works, what people want from a trainer, what people want in that situation. But also beyond the anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, blah, 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 all that stuff.
Yep.
It's then, because you can be the best scientist in the world, you can have the most knowledge in the world, but you can't connect with people, so you're shit at your job.
Yep.
Or you're the most boring fucker on the planet and no one wants to spend an hour with you.
Yep.
Because personal training is quite unique in the sense that you think how long you might spend excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Don't know where that came from. You might spend 3 hours a week with a client. Like I used to see a lot of my clients for 1 hour, 3 times.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of one-on-one interaction.
100%.
Sometimes that's more than they would spend with their partner one-on-one per week in conversation. I mean, in conversation, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I would teach my guys and girls that, and it would just be, on the job kind of learning. I think one of the challenges with the fitness industry and with personal training in general is that it's an unregulated industry in the sense that, personal training, there's no legislation around it and anybody can call themselves a trainer, So that's one of the challenges for us. And that's why I think that we need to be exceptional and we need to be professional and we need to be the high watermark.
So in terms of legislation side of things, like we've got all these online coaches and stuff, is that more so what you're referring to? Because, I mean, if we're practicing in a commercial gym, I mean, I can't practice unless I'm registered with Fitness Australia, Physical Activity Australia. Are you talking more about these online coaches?
No. I'm talking about, so what you've done and what most trainers have done is you've got an industry recognition. So you've got an industry qualification and an industry certification and insurance, right? Yeah. But in terms of the government, it's not a regulated industry, right? And so what that means is anybody legally, so it's not illegal for anyone to call themselves a trainer.
Yeah.
It's not illegal. And they can go in the gym and they can work on the gym floor, they can call themselves whatever they want and train people. Now, I'm not saying that should happen, but does it happen? It probably does happen. It's a little bit like life coaching. Yeah. There's no legislation around that. It's can you get an accreditation? Well, yeah, you can. And the accreditation is only to that organisation. It's like I've got a dojo and I'm awarding people black belts under my style of martial art or whatever it is, So It's recognised in the industry and it's sometimes not recognised outside of the industry. So that's, but that happens with a lot of things and that's not terrible. It just means that I think we need to be aware that everything that we do when we're, from when we first talk to a potential client to when we train them, coach them, mentor them to when they leave us, that it's a professional experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that there could potentially be a lot of money being left on the table by coaches that don't or are not exploring more of the mindset side of things and having that as part of their business, more as a product and not just something to discuss on the floor during their PT sessions? Because I think we all do a bit of mindset stuff with our clients on the floor from day to day. It's part of, I think any coach is a natural teacher. But why are not enough coaches, again, in your opinion, why are they not producing products?
Yeah, that's a good question. Look, I think there's probably a hole in the market there, and that is something that can be capitalised on. Why? Why isn't it happening? I think, you know, it gets a little bit complicated and tricky once you start to go down, like what you're really heading into is behavioural psychology. And when you're not a behavioural psychologist, you need to be careful what you say and what advice you give. Just like if you're not I've been talking about food for 40 years, but I'm not a dietitian, so I don't prescribe diets. Yep. However, I'll say, hey, Amanda, cut back on the fucking Cocoa Pops and the McDonald's champ. You know, that's okay. I don't need a degree in dietetics to do that, but we can have that conversation. And so too with the psychology stuff. I think there's just a couple of, you know, things we need to be aware of in terms of what we offer and how we offer it, and what we purport to be. You know, if you're presenting yourself as an expert in human behaviour and psychology, you probably just need to be careful. If that's not your background, that's not your education, that's not your qualification, that's not your training. Sure. But having said that, there is definitely, you know, there is. I mean, this is part of what I do now is I stopped coaching people one-on-one. You know, like all the mindset, performance, success stuff, because I'm too busy with all the stuff I do. But 6 months ago, I instead of doing one-on-ones, for example, I said, all right, on social media, I'm going to do just a small group, mentoring group. And it ends up now where I have 6 groups. Yep. And I'm coaching 20 people at a time.
So how does that work? Tell me a little bit more about your mentoring group.
Yeah, so, I mean, because everybody comes to you or me or picks up a self-help book or, you know, enrolls in a workshop for the same reason, that is that they want to create change. You know, that's people come and talk to me about that. And so on a practical level, I just got too busy to do one-on-ones, so people would enroll in a mentoring program. I started a new one last night. I have another one that I'm finishing tonight with another group. And everyone comes for a different reason, but kind of the same reason. And that the reason is something in their life is not working optimally. And it might be their body, it might be their career, it might be their internal reality. They're an overthinker. They create anxiety. Was that you or me?
I don't know. I think that might have been you.
Sorry about that. And, you know, it could be relationships, could be money, could be anything. And so we just talk about that. We talk about that and we come up with ideas and strategies and encouragement and support. But what I think, you know, a good coach or a good trainer or a good psychologist or whatever is, they bring objectivity. So it's hard for you to be objective about you because you're you. And the you experience is subjective. And so, you know, my programs are 6 weeks, and we, you know, get a bunch of people in the room and we just talk about where we're at, what's working, what's not working, honest, real, authentic conversations.
Do you give people homework around?
Yeah, they get homework. Yeah. And a willingness to be vulnerable. I mean, here's the thing. I think one of the reasons, it's like you said, when you heard me talk, for want of a better term, you found it very relatable, right? And it kind of, so here's the thing. I think that people just need to know that as a coach, that we're normal and that we're, you know, we're awesome and we're broken. You know, we're amazing and we're dysfunctional.
Yep.
You know, everybody's got the same issues.
Yeah.
Everybody. You know, it varies, but, you know, we all want to be loved, needed, valued, wanted. We all want to be successful. None of us want to be in pain. We all want to live our truth. We all want to live in alignment. We all want better. You know, we all want the same things, but at the same time, you know, we've all got fear. We all overthink things, and we all, you know, create problems and solutions at the same time. And so it's working with people coming from that place of authenticity where you go, well, I'm a bit broken as well, but I can give you ideas and suggestions and feedback and context that you probably can't come up with yourself.
So in light of the course, like the mentoring group that you run, and funny that you say that it's 6 weeks long, because I actually launched a new program this year called Mindset Camp.
I like it. Nice.
Basically what it is a it gives people tools and strategies to help them elicit long-term change. And all it is pretty much everything that I've done up until this point to help me stay, quote unquote, motivated. And that's basically it. I don't profess to be a psychologist. I don't go too deep. With that said, though, I mean, there were tears and there was, you know, revelations about people's personal lives, because I wanted people to be a little bit more raw and honest that, hey, if you can't fix the outside shit, you can't fix the stuff in the gym and the stuff that I kind of want you to work on and to focus on. So is that crossing the boundaries in terms of my own qualifications, or is simply putting my life's work into 6 weeks? Am I well within my jurisdiction in giving people basic things like scheduling?
Yeah, I know where you're going. And the answer is, this is my answer.
Yeah.
And you're going to like the answer. The answer is, you're not pretending to be a psychologist. Yeah. And this is what I do with my stuff. I'm an exercise scientist by qualification, right? That's my background.
Yep.
So I have an exercise science degree, don't have a psychology degree. Ironically, quite a few of the people that I've coached one-on-one over the years, probably 20 or 30, have been psychologists, right? Yep. So, but what you're doing, which is what I do, is I go, all right, team. In fact, last year I did a presentation at a conference for psychologists. And I go, all right, so my job is to help people change. So people come to me, teams, individuals, companies, organisations, because they want to do better, look better, function better, perform better, be happier, whatever. And so I'm going to talk to you about my experiences, my lessons, my stories, and the insights that have come out of that, the wisdom that's come out of that, the understanding, the strategies that have come out of that. I'm going to share that with you, and you see what resonates. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you what to do with your life. I'm just going to share, and because here's the thing, I might say to you, Amanda, motivation isn't the key, because motivation's a temporary emotion. It comes and goes, and with that temporary emotion comes temporary behaviours. So, you know, and you're like, fuck, that's a light bulb. Okay, I get it. I need to create non-negotiables. I need to build habits which are hardwired into my subconscious, because when that behaviour becomes a hardwired habit, then I don't need to get motivated anymore, blah, 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 blah. And there's a light bulb and you're like, fuck, that's what I've been, right. The girl sitting next to you, she goes, yeah, I know that. I've already got that nailed, right? So there's no revelation. And maybe her issue is not that. Maybe her issue is that she just makes bad choices consistently. Maybe her issue is that she's lazy, or maybe her issue is that she doesn't manage her time well, you know. So I think you're fine. I think you're not pretending to be a psychologist, but also at the same time, as I was saying before about, you know, we just need to be careful. There's no reason why we can't talk about, as a human being, we can't talk about human things, because thinking and beliefs and values and fear and self-doubt and self-worth and self-esteem, they're just human things.
Exactly.
You don't need to be a fucking psychologist to have a conversation,
100%,
right? It's just like, you don't need to be an exercise scientist to go, hey, Dad, stop sitting on the fucking couch, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, or that would be my advice, Dad. You know, so I think a lot of academics get a little bit protective and paranoid. You know, it's not like you're prescribing anything particularly, but you're just having hopefully meaningful conversations.
And it was literally just that. And the thing is that it was successful, and I ran it as a pilot. I didn't charge anybody. It came as advice from my mentor to basically launch it as a pilot, get a small group of participants. So there was 5 of us in the end. There was a couple that couldn't even get across the first week because they had, you know, terrible mindsets or whatever. But the thing is that some people have since gone back to their old ways, right? Yep. So, and, you know, and I think I've had some discussions with these people, and I've said, look, you know, this is great. And it just shows you that this is so much of a long game, that unless and until you stay consistent with the basic fundamentals of scheduling when you're going to bloody do stuff, when you're going to meal prep, when you're going to shower, when you're going to spend time with a family. You know, you don't have to sit and read books anymore. You can listen to podcasts and do other things, so you can multitask and educate and feed your brain with that motivation and stuff. But I guess my question to you is what I'm doing is I'm having a catch up with my guys that I did Mindset Camp with next week, just to basically, I guess, reprime them and remind them around the tools and strategies that we discussed in those 6 weeks. Have you found that clients of yours from this mentorship group have come back to you since the group? Do you have anything in place whereby you can touch base with these people after the 6 weeks to see where they're at, and how many of them have actually fallen off, if at all?
Okay, so lots of questions. So the answer is, some of the people that did the 6 weeks wanted to do another 6 weeks, so they actually enrolled in another program.
Yep.
Some of them did that. Then some went, is there like a level 2? I'm like, well, no. And they're like, could you make one? I'm like, all right. So, you know, it's, you know, here's the thing. We just went a bit deeper. All of my groups have an online Facebook community. So my intention is to get them to the point where they are self-sufficient as a group and as individuals.
Yep.
So the people who come together, you know, like last night we started with 18 or 19. So they will work together with me for 6 weeks, but they are already, I've seen this morning, in their Facebook community talking and interacting and helping keep each other accountable. So that becomes a thing that will live as long as they want it to live. But here's my advice to you as a coach, right? Coach to coach. So the rest of you can tune out now, because this is just for Amanda. So your job is not to change people. Your job is to provide ideas, information, support, and strategies. And a lot of trainers take on this heavy emotional burden of, fuck, she didn't get, it's, you know, all you can do is coach, encourage, support, educate, enlighten, love, you know, whatever. But you can't get up and go for a run for someone. You can't make decisions for someone. You can't have a good attitude for someone. You can't follow, you can't get uncomfortable for someone. And so I say that to my guys. I go, if you don't get in shape, it won't be my fault. You have to take responsibility for you. Everything I can do, I will do. But I can't fucking inhabit your body or your life. I can't inhabit your mind. And I think this is one of the flaws of coaching, is that some coaches think they're the solution. I'm not anybody's solution. I've never changed one person. I influenced you a little bit, but I didn't change you. If you changed, that was you doing the work. I've coached tens of thousands of people. I've changed nobody, but I've influenced tens of thousands, right? And so I believe that, you know, we need to get people in that headspace from the start, that all I'm going to do, it's like even with my guys last night, I say, so here's what you're going to get. You're going to get 6 weeks of me. 6 weeks of ideas, strategies, communication, connection, but ultimately it's all theory. And life's not a theory. And life's not a mentoring program. And life's not a 6-week course. That's not what life is. This is just part of what you're doing to change your life, right? And so I think when we get that and they get that, then we produce much better outcomes. And also, you know, I'm very practical. When people go, oh, you know, this is hard, I go, yep, it's hard. Yep, this is uncomfortable. Here's the problem. So this is the dichotomy for humans. And by that, I mean kind of the inner conflict, is that on the one hand, we say, I want to change. If I've got an audience of, let's say, 100 people, how many of you want to change something about your body, your thinking, your habits, your reality? Every hand goes up. If they're participating, every hand goes up. And then I say, all right, how many of you love discomfort? 0, right? Nobody wants to be uncomfortable. Everybody wants to be comfortable. Because we're hardwired for comfort. Well, then we're hardwired for failure, and we're hardwired for stagnation. And so we need to override that, because where we grow and where we learn and where we adapt, just like in the gym, we adapt with progressive overload, we become stronger or build muscular endurance or whatever by progressively overloading. In other words, by getting more and more uncomfortable in an intelligent way. And the byproduct is physiological adaptation. We become stronger. So too, when we use progressive overload mentally and emotionally, we make hard decisions, we do hard things, we face a fear, we have a hard conversation, we embrace a behavior that's uncomfortable. Then over time, we build those emotional muscles, those cognitive muscles, those decision-making muscles by doing the hard shit. Because what really needs to change is us. We need to change. Because when we change, then life is easier. Then tasks are easier. Then taking action is easier because everything is a subjective experience. So when the girl who's terrified of public speaking, I get asked often, how do I overcome my fear of public speaking? The answer is by public speaking.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't fucking get good at what you don't do.
Yeah.
You know? And when people go to me, I find exercise boring. I go, it doesn't matter. It's not fucking entertainment.
Yeah.
It's a thing that's going to produce a result. And so you just need to go, all I want to know is, will you do it or won't you do it? And if you won't, that's cool. That's your choice. That's fine. But then don't complain because you won't do the work. Like there is no fucking shortcut. There is no magic pill. That work produces the result. But the thing is, and you know this, telling people that work produces the result and it'll be hard and it'll be uncomfortable at times, people don't want to hear that because it's not fucking sexy.
Oh, yeah. You're telling me, like, all of what you say, just like I said, it's very refreshing to hear that, you know, that this is how it is. Like, to think that there's gloss and glamour around transformation, you're kidding yourself. And I try and have that approach with my guys as well. And they know how I am, and as straight up as I can, and was like that within Mindset Camp as well. And look, I suppose it's just going to have to be, like, the one thing I love about what you just said then too is really removing that emotion as a coach. And I guess it leaves us with a lot less disappointment, thinking that we didn't do a good enough job if these people didn't stick to it, 12 weeks after they did the course and they fell backward. And, it's pretty obvious when you guys are asking, like, you're pretty top level in terms of mindset coaching and stuff. And for them to have still asked for level 2 is a clear indication that, people still need that accountability
100%.
Weeks after. So, I mean, that gives me a lot of confidence to think, well, far out, if they could stick to it even 4 weeks after what I showed them, then, it's not all too bad. But
100%. And I mean, the thing is too that, of course, I'm not saying that we take no responsibility. I've fucked up many times. So there's that self-awareness and recognizing I could do this better or that better. But what I'm saying is, if as a mentor or coach or trainer, you are doing everything you can do as well as you can do, well, that's your responsibility. If that's happening and people don't get results, then I don't carry a burden because I can't do anything. If I'm doing my absolute best, knowledge, skill, attention, focus, care, support, and they don't get results, while I'm not happy they don't get results, I'm not going to lose any sleep because it's a two-people process.
100%. All right, look, we've only got about 6 minutes, 43 seconds left before we got to start paying, and I don't mind to start paying for you, Craig.
That's all right. That's all right.
Just quickly, why don't we, if you can answer this in about 2 minutes, and then we'll just wrap it up. What's your opinion on these so-called Instagram online coaches, the supplement discount coded fake fitness models, the barrage of fitness clothing companies, all using the same model prototype to push their brands? And when is mindset ever going to be the new sexy? And should we launch a conference for other coaches to be coached on how to add this element onto their business?
Again, longest question ever, but that's okay. All right. Gosh, you need to do a course on short questions. All right. No, I'm just kidding. You're awesome. All right. So let me start. look, the Instagram model stuff, the online this and that, all it is it's an evolution in how we sell shit. You know, this is what it is now. And I can go, oh, it's fucking terrible. And it's not going to change anything. It is what it is. I don't care. I don't lose any sleep. There is, you know, for me, social media, full stop, is a resource. Yep. So when people go to me, oh, Facebook's toxic, I go, not for me. I don't jump on and hang shit on anyone. I don't troll anyone. I don't put pictures of my fucking feet or my breakfast on there. I don't, you know, for me, it's just a resource to create connection. And it's free. And I'm very grateful, and I think it's amazing. And for me, Instagram is the same. So I just think we invest too much time worrying about bullshit that really isn't relevant for us. And look, just a personal thought is I feel sorry for, and I mean this in a caring way, not in a nasty way. I genuinely feel sorry for people who get their sense of self and their identity from likes and shares and online approval, because I think that is really, that's one of the negative byproducts of social media. But again, that's not about social media. That's about human beings who are insecure, in need of attention. Social media is not the problem. Social media is just a platform that we all use.
Yeah, I think all social media has done is reveal people more for who they are rather than what they are not. So, all right, Craig, look, you're amazing. How can people get in touch with you if they want to join one of your programs? You've got an event coming up in September, which one of my clients and my auntie is actually attending. So if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Carrier pigeon or smoke signal. Just kidding. So I'm just kidding. So just go to my website, which is craigharper.net.
Easy.
And all my stuff's on there. And also, you can send an email. And there's lots of free content on there. There's articles and videos and podcasts.
Yes.
And if people want to follow me, probably the easiest one is Insta, which is @whiteboardlessons.
Yes. So, guys, I will link all of that below. Craig, thank you so much for today. You've been an absolute gem. I can't wait.
Pleasure, Amanda.
And hopefully we can stay in touch and do one of these again in the near future. When I'm a little bit more YouTube famous, maybe not. We'll see.
I'm happy to do another one.
Awesome. All right. Take care, mate. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Amanda. See ya.
Okay.